reminded me to be more careful. But other than that, my new life was full of wonderful things, especially when I had Thomas by my side. At first, I tried to act as cold as possible towards him, just like how Tracy would normally treat this fiancé of hers. But tell me, how am I supposed to ignore such a perfect man? He often came to visit me or took me to places. He always gave me all these butterflies with his charm and elegant gestures, and it wasn't long before I realized I had feelings for him. I just couldn't help it. He made me so happy. One night, instead of having some fancy 8-course dinner date, I suggested we try something more casual. So we went bowling and grabbed some burgers. We had so much fun, and at one point, he took my hand and said, "Thank you for opening your heart to me and giving me a chance to be your man," as he put a soda can ring on my finger. Come on, who wouldn't melt to that? And when he dropped me home, he leaned over to kiss me. Oh my God! My heart was thumping in my chest as I got out of the car. Then he said, "Good night, my darling Tracy." Suddenly, reality came crashing down. I had been delusional. It was Tracy that Thomas loved, not me, not poor old Kathy. But it's too late now. I'd been so carried away with my own feelings that I didn't realize how my behaviors towards Thomas had been taken as a green light. Both families were super stoked that Tracy finally showed some positive signals towards this relationship, and they started planning the wedding right away. The date was set for 2 weeks later. Then the plan was for us to move to Singapore for Thomas's work. I was so shocked at how fast everything was moving. This was a disaster. I called Tracy and told her everything. She also freaked out and told me to stay calm and just wait for her. She'd get back before the wedding day to stop it. Well, the wedding day was fast approaching, and there was still no sign of Tracy. I was really panicking now. And the worst part was that I couldn't get a hold of her. Her phone was off. I didn't know what to do. I cried to my mom over the phone, so she tried to calm me down. "Honey, I think if you leave now, you'll mess everything up. If Tracy's family finds out, you'll both be in trouble. Hang on a bit more. I'm sure she'll be back and everything will be okay." "But that means I have to go through with the wedding and then move to Singapore with him. I can't do that, Mom." "Why not, sweetie? I know you love him, and so far no one has spotted a difference between the two of you. Just keep pretending for now, okay?" So that's what I did. I kept pretending. While everyone prepared for the wedding of the year, I paced back and forth waiting for Tracy to get back. One day I was out in the garden, trying to ease my mind, when someone approached me. He looked so familiar, and I wondered if it was Arnold, Tracy's boyfriend. But what was he doing here? He asked me to follow him so that no one would see us, and then he seemed angry and said, "Tracy, why didn't you tell me you were back? I was so worried when you disappeared like that." "Huh? Wasn't Tracy supposed to be with him?" "Arnold, calm down. I'm not Tracy. I'm Kathy." "But Tracy has disappeared? I haven't been able to contact her either, and I've been worried sick." "Oh, hey, Kathy. Gosh, you two are identical." Arnold looked disappointed. "Anyway, we came back a few days ago, and she wanted to swing by your mum's place to give us some presents. Then I haven't seen her since." "That's weird. My mum would have mentioned if she swung by." "Yeah, I've asked her, but she hadn't seen Tracy either." "Kathy, we need to find her." So I immediately canceled my wedding dress fitting and went with Arnold to my house. "Hey, Mom, it's me!" I called out, but there was no answer. We searched the house, but couldn't find her anywhere. Then, as we passed my room, I could hear someone inside, and the door was locked. That was so odd. So I rushed to get the spare key to open it, and got the fright of my life. Tracy was sitting on my bed. I almost screamed. "What are you doing here?" Tracy looked as shocked to see us as we were to see her. "I don't know why your mom locked me in here, but don't worry. She didn't hurt me. I'm being fed well and I have Netflix, so it's not all bad. No way. My mom would never do such things. She was the sweetest woman, and this was so out of character. Then I heard footsteps on the stairs. It was my mom. I screamed. Mom, could you please explain? What's going on here? She looked at me and stammered. I just planned to keep her here for a few days, just until you married Thomas and flown to Singapore with him. Are you insane? Do you want me to steal her life? No, sweetie, it's not stealing. It should have been your life. I mean, why didn't he recognize his own daughter? At this, she burst into tears and fell to the floor. Arnold rushed over and helped her up and said, What do you mean, his own daughter? And that's when my mom told me that Tracy is actually my half-sister. My half-sister. What? So Tracy's dad was my dad too? Turns out, when my mom had fallen pregnant with me, Tracy's dad's family hadn't approved because my mom was just a normal person. So they'd paid her to move to another city and stay away from Dad. But what's even worse is that my dad didn't even try and look for us after that. In fact, a few months later, he'd already married Tracy's mom, who came from a rich family. Both Tracy and I stood there completely shocked. No wonder we looked so similar. So, you're my sister? I gasped, staring at Tracy with wide eyes. Really? Dad did that? What a selfish, arrogant man! I'm ashamed to even be related to him. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. The truth needs to be told. No, Tracy, wait. Don't do that. My mom yelled. Sorry, but I have to. I can't play this game anymore. I have a plan. At that, Tracy walked off and Arnold ran after her. Here we go, I thought. And eventually, the wedding day of Thomas and Tracy rolled around. Me, my mom, and Arnold showed up in disguise. When the vicar asked them both to say I do, Thomas said it immediately. But Tracy paused. The whole church held their breath waiting for her I do, but it never came. Instead, she said, I can't do this, Thomas. I'm sorry. That's when Arnold appeared, and Tracy ran towards him and held his hand. This man, he is the true love of my life. Of course, Tracy's dad was furious. He got up from his seat and yelled in front of everyone, What on earth is going on? And that's the moment when I felt so proud of Tracy. She said, I don't love Thomas, Dad, and he deserves to be with someone who truly loves him back. That's what marriage is about, right? It should be based on love, not status or money. And anyway, I don't want to hurt someone the way you did. What are you talking about? Who did I hurt? He looked stunned. My mom, Kathy's mom, and Kathy herself, too. Tracy pointed over at me and my mom. Everyone in the church gasped as they looked from Tracy to me and back again. We really were identical. He looked like he was going to faint when he saw my mom. And then with a shaking hand, he pointed to me and said, And who is this? My mom walked towards him and said, This is Kathy, your daughter, the one you abandoned. Wow, I didn't think my mom had it in her. Honestly, the tension in the air was crazy. People started whispering and shuffling in their seats. That was when Thomas said, So, which one of you is Tracy? I decided this was my moment to speak up. I'm not Tracy. I'm Kathy. I've been taking her place during the past month. I'm so sorry for lying to you this whole time. I couldn't even look him in the eyes as I put in his hand the soda ring that meant so much to me. Thomas looked disappointed and marched off. I ran after, trying to stop him, but he didn't care. Only, when I tripped and fell to the ground, he turned around to say, Why would you do this? Giving me false hope? And for what? Honestly, it would have been better if you'd treated me the way Tracy the Ice Queen does. I'm sorry, Thomas. I didn't want to hurt you. My feelings for you are real. I started to cry. You're so selfish, Tracy. Oh no, wait. I mean, Kathy. Then he walked off. In the end, the wedding was obviously canceled. Tracy's dad, or should I say, our dad, had no choice but to accept Tracy and Arnold's relationship. I was so happy for her. Dad, of course, also apologized to me and Mum, and even offered me to come and live with them. But I refused. I wasn't about to leave my mom. However, I did accept his offer to pay for my vocal training. At least I could live this dream of mine. Because I doubted I could make my other dream come true. My dream to see Thomas again. I was heartbroken. Still, I had to get on with life. Maybe I'd meet someone else. Pretty soon, it was time to graduate from my first semester of vocal training, and I was going to have my first ever solo performance to an audience. I was so nervous, but I sang with all my heart, and afterwards, as I left the theater, someone ran up to me with a giant bouquet of flowers. Unbelievable! It was Thomas! I burst into tears and he said, "Hi, Kathy. I'm Thomas. Nice to meet you." That put the widest smile on my face. I then ran into his arms saying, "It feels so good to hear you call me by my real name." "Yes, I'm Kathy. I know we just met, but will you be my boyfriend?" And you guessed it. The rest is now history. We're currently planning our wedding. For real this time.